The next crypto move is going to explode the altcoins I have outlined in this video. It's going to put the October to March pump where we saw Bitcoin 3x to shame. And I do believe that these coins outperform Bitcoin on that particular move and time frame. But given the fact that these coins I've selected today are in great areas of crypto, highly prosperous, they are also very unique in themselves, but they've proven to be very reactionary to quality news, and at that, they do have some great updates to still come. All of this I'll be mentioning with each of these altcoins today, so I hope you're in the mood to locate which of the coins I'm personally either holding or planning to buy as this next move happens. This isn't your top altcoin video. I'm not picking 7 or 8, 10 altcoins today just because I want to pick 10 altcoins that I think are good right now. These are truly ones I think will actually succeed once liquidity begins to pump back into the market, which with this 12-week lead we're looking at here, I believe is about to happen, right? The global liquidity index is set to do really well in the next few months. And of course, Bitcoin is somewhat correlated to the liquidity index, as any speculation market, of course, is to some degree as well. We also have the FTX distributions coming out, $16 billion worth of USDT or USDC cash, essentially, is being given back to everyone that got sort of messed up in the debacle over there. And that likely means they're going to be pretty vengeful and want to make the money back that they lost in the interim, because they're not getting Bitcoin back at $66,000, whatever it is today. They're getting Bitcoin back from when they bought in all that time ago, like around $20,000, like very, very low prices. So they want to make that multiples back. They're likely to put it into quality coins. People, yes, will put it into Bitcoin, but like this article says here, a lot of it will go to some of the more prosperous coins in the space, which is the ones I've picked today, okay, like Solana, for example, okay? We also, of course, have highly likely chance that, at least predicted from here, the next 8 or 9 or so FOMC meetings are going to be cutting rates, which is obviously a good thing. They don't want to do this too sharply, of course, but in any sense, what we can predict right now is rates will be going down. That's, of course, good for us. And one of the key metrics I want to also mention going into each of these coins as well was their engagements. Now, I'm using Solana for an example here on Lunar Crush, and what we're looking at here is the average engagements to the right-hand side here every single day. So Solana averages in the last 6 months about 40 million interactions, and what we kind of want to do is go to CoinMarketCap, have a look at Solana's market cap being 63 billion, and in an ideal perfect situation, there is 1 million active interactions per day to every $1 billion of market cap size. So if that ratio is better, of course, you'll have maybe 2 million active interactions for $1 billion market cap and so on. So obviously, the higher you go in this case, the more unreasonable it becomes, because you can't expect Bitcoin to have like 1.1 billion daily active interactions. That's kind of insane. So it is to some degree, but it applies for each of these coins. Now, the reason why engagements are, of course, important is because you could have the best project in the world. If no one's on YouTube, Twitter, Reddit talking about it, if there's a cool update, no one's going to be buying the coin. It's just going to fade off into oblivion. Unfortunately, that's part of a speculation market. So the first narrative I want to talk about today is Layer 1 projects. Now, Layer 1 projects are unique. In my opinion, they are the #1 narrative in crypto by far. They're not by in terms of like overall average success per coin. But if you look at cycle upon cycle, and I guarantee you into the future as well, Layer 1s will always do really, really well and continue to, because they are reliant on everything, or everything is reliant on Layer 1s, should I say, okay? You can forget Layer 0s, they're great, of course, but for the most part, you don't need Layer 0s. You have applications built on top of the Layer 1s themselves, and then you can have Layer 2s on Layer 1s and Layer 3s on Layer 2s on Layer 1s. So essentially, Layer 1s are getting all the traffic, all the fees. So as we'll see with one of these coins in a second here, they're doing a really good job at absorbing all of these fees and burning it, reducing the supply. This is a fantastic model. And of course, in saying that, what you have to understand about Layer 1 projects, guys, is that they won't be good for the long term if they aren't developing an ecosystem. If there's no ecosystem, I'm not going to name names, okay? None of the coins on this list, that's for sure. Then it's not going to be good for the future, at least. For this bull run, you can get away with it, okay? Now, what's the first coin? It's Near Protocol, okay? Pretty obvious, Near Protocol. These guys 9x'd their not just price, but also market cap from October up until the recent highs. They have a nice steady $1 billion total circulation right now, which is pretty easy to work the math out on that. So in this case, I've chosen these guys because they're Layer 1, they're AI, technically kind of floating around the deep in area as well. And they're focusing on two really, really big narratives. We'll get to one of these in just a second here as well. So they had some pretty big updates recently. They hackathon specifically for AI building on NIA. They have their NIA marketplace, of course, which is just simply, hey, if you know a bit about AI, I'm building an AI a model or some sort of smart contract that leverages AI, I'm going to hire you. That's all their marketplace is. There's no sort of, hey, I'm going to give you some GPU power and you go build an application or use it for an application. There's not like a cash, okay? So it's just simply hiring people out for AI work. But this is going to incorporate, ideally, some AI projects on NIA protocol itself. So there was some really, really good, I guess, overall success stories from this hackathon as well. One of these things, as you can see here, is restaking, okay? So basically, this is going to allow you to, pull in Bitcoin's liquidity. So if you hold Bitcoin on the native Bitcoin network, use that on a different chain, let's just say Ethereum, via NIA protocol, and then use it, use that liquidity to secure a different sort of application on, let's say, Ethereum. Okay, so it's essentially restaking, but using a native asset and a wrapped asset, right? Or a synthetic asset across a different bridge. This is massive stuff. You can have so much application for this. Do not underestimate that update alone. We also have the chance to actually be able to swap tokens on different networks as well. So maybe like Moonbeam to Ethereum or Moonbeam to Cardano with being on NIA protocol without having to go out of your NIA protocol wallet to actually go ahead and execute that, as well as the overall just focus on account abstraction. This is their major next narrative. They're really pushing account abstraction. It's just a fancy phrase of saying being able to do everything all in the NIA protocol wallet on any blockchain, transfer tokens. Again, like I said, pull in liquidity from your Bitcoin native account and use that Bitcoin on, let's just say, Ethereum to secure a layer 2 on Ethereum, for example. I mean, that's obviously a very abstract example, but you get the point. Pretty comprehensive. This is a big part of, I think, Web3 growing in the future. And they're also now very much so interconnected, or wanting to be interconnected at least, with tokenization. Okay, the recent partnership here with real-world-asset.xyz and the coalition of Ondo, Goldfinch, and all the other real-world asset coins is now there. So I'm really excited to see how NIA protocol, tends to go in the future, but it's just got its paws in so many different projects and areas these days. I just can't see it not doing well. And obviously we've seen the reaction based on a little bit of positive news based, I think, entirely on AI so far. So big ups to NIA protocol. Now, what's the next coin on this list? Well, the next coin is none other than Injective Protocol. Injective is a layer 1, of course, but it's focused on DeFi and real-world assets. Nice bit of a segue there, I do say so myself. So in this case, it actually did a pretty good multiple, actually. It did about a 41x in the whole entire last bear market, okay? Huge. But as of October, it did about a 7x, 7.5x, give or take, okay? So its market cap also in that sort of same period as well, about 7x or so. So overall, quite good. Now, the benefit of Injective is that most of the tokens are also out in circulation as well. Again, DeFi, real-world asset tokenization are very high in terms of, I believe, demand for this cycle, let alone the layer 1 as well. So this is pretty interesting, right? We can see here Injective is actually, by ratio of price to revenue, number 3 in the total crypto space, or at least this is by major networks, okay? Like layer 1s, layer 2s, for example, in the entire crypto space, okay? A 146 score right behind Polygon, and then Solana, of course, number 1 up there. Some interesting stats over here as well. These guys are burning a lot of tokens very quickly. These guys do a weekly buyback and burn. They pretty much take all the fees generated by all the different projects building on Injective, which turns out to be quite a lot because it's all focused on, high-speed trading and so on. And then every week it puts it into an account and people bid on the auction to get those tokens. And by doing that, the bid has to be done in Injective tokens. And when people do that, and the winner then has their tokens burnt. So they take that account full of the Injective and they give whatever the final winning bid was to the Injective protocol to burn. So it's this really great burn mechanism they have. And I will finalize by saying as well, like I said, they are now really heavily involved in real-world assets. The number 3 project in the entire ecosystem for tokenized real-world assets by chain. So they're growing, and I think any sort of indication of this was how they indexed recently BlackRock's Build All fund. So now we can actually trade the index of this fund itself. So if the fund finds more demand or less demand, you can actually trade and actually make some money on that itself. So all in all, Injective is a monstrous project, and I think there's still so much more room to grow. I don't own any. Okay, I own NIA protocol, but I'm looking to buy Injective. I can tell you that much right now. I made a recent review on the coin, and yeah, it's an all-around great project. So next up, a nice segue yet again, we're moving away from real-world assets into DeFi specifically. Aerodrome Finance. Yes, I own Aerodrome. Yes, this is one of my coins I am buying substantially more of when I have cash. I've got no cash right now. Put it all in the market, right? Bloody hell. So anyway, Aerodrome right now is a 330 mil market cap. And there isn't too much I can sort of say about the chart because essentially this down here, where we kind of had the lows, was back in February. So it wasn't back in October. So this pump was just a typical new project, all exciting, launch, and everyone got into it. And it's come obviously back down to some levels of support. But we can draw comparisons to a previous cryptocurrency. It's still around, of course. PancakeSwap. PancakeSwap is the de facto DEX, or was de facto anyway. It's multi-chain now on Binance Smart Chain. Binance created the Binance Smart Chain. You know, Aerodrome is the de facto DEX on Base. Base is a centralized exchange. You can see the comparisons we're making here. And from the previous cycle, which I would even go ahead and argue that there was obviously less liquidity. You know, we capped at about a 3 trillion market cap. And I think that overall demand for PancakeSwap on the Binance Smart Chain is less than what is happening for Base and Aero right now. It's still 20x from that point in time. So the same market cap, 20x. Pretty impressive. I think Aero could either, you know, match this or beat it. And some of the reasons why is, first of all, Base itself is a highly, you know, used network right now. A lot of meme coins, a lot of these small caps are on Base, and Base doesn't have a token right now. So I think a lot of people are sort of hedging into it with Aerodrome. And also, to access those tokens, you need to use the DEX, which is obviously Aerodrome. Now, I covered recently on a different video a whole bunch more stats on Aerodrome, but I will mention one very impressive one here. We can see that out of every single crypto project, including Ethereum, like layer ones, Aerodrome for a 7-day period had the most revenue generated in the entire crypto space. And even better, 100% of that revenue went to the VE holders, or the voted escrow token holders, the governance people. Okay, so yeah, if you stake your Aerodrome in the sort of governance way and you get the VE token back, there's some pretty good rewards, right? So that's of course a big reason why I like it. It's very much pro crypto, leaderless and so on. It's my go-to DeFi play in the entire crypto space in my personal opinion right now. Now I know I jumped from layer ones to DeFi, but I want to quickly jump back to technically a layer one. It's actually now a layer 0. This is a massive update. This is kind of like a special guest, if you will, which is AVAX. So I don't own AVAX, and I'll be honest with you guys, am I going to be buying AVAX? Well, honestly, right now, I'm not entirely sure. Why? Because I have about 3 different coins, including Injective, that I want to be buying first. This is probably like number 4, all right? So it's probably not going to happen. I don't think anyone's going to randomly gift me about $100,000 to be able to invest in this. I have much more preferable ones first, but I wanted to throw it in as a special guest because I think it deserves some love because of a recent update, okay? Now, again, you might like AVAX more than me. I'm not saying it's not going to do better than the coins I have in the queue to buy. I'm just saying that, again, like I have an order of interest priority rather than, you know, coin priority, if you will. So AVAX, in this case, did about a 7.5x in that previous jump, okay? So that's pretty substantial. Far outplays even some of the smaller coins, and now we're only down to a 2, almost 3x. So yeah, again, from the lows, I mean, that's pretty impressive. Pretty good time to buy. Now, here's the massive update. These guys are launching the biggest update since their actual mainnet launch, okay, since they created the token, which is Avalanche 9000. Essentially, to cut a long story short, they're going to become pretty much a layer 0. So they are, if I kind of like pull up this chart from before, they're essentially going out of here and becoming here. So they are going to be the layer beneath layer 1s because it's pretty much going to allow people now to create their own layer 1s out of the box, work together, all the rest of it. It's pretty much going to be a layer 0, right? So there's a massive update, should bring a lot more demand in for AVAX because if people can spin up layer 1s easy, it's going to be like the Ethereum rush before where everyone was spinning up layer 2s, all right? So we might have a whole suite of products created from this. We really don't know, but AVAX is a very sought after coin by a lot of people, including whales. Whales love this coin. And I think it's got to do with the fact that it's very good for tokenization. The AVAX Foundation itself, these guys are really, really pushing tokenization. They have a lot of funds on the network already. And honestly, in my opinion, again, it's definitely added to the queue of coins to buy, but I can tell roughly I'm probably not going to be able to accumulate it, but I wanted to add it in here anyway, just for those of you who are interested in this coin. Now, next I want to talk about modularity. It's a massive narrative, guys. Pretty much the layer 2 buzz like I just spoke about there. God, I'm really good at the segue today, aren't I? The modularity narrative, like these new networks being instantly created left, right, and center, the layer 3s as well, and a whole bunch of other interesting networks like Hyperlane, like Espresso, they've all pretty much been created out of the modularity data availability narrative, which I believe began from Celestia. This is like an early stage Ethereum for its specific niche. It's one of the first, okay, or the most predominant at least anyway. So this coin did some pretty impressive numbers on launch, right? It went up about a 9, almost 10x, and now it's come back down to pretty much those levels. I believe a great accumulation zone right here. I mean, honestly, I can't believe it's so cheap. And we have some massive updates happening for Celestia, in my personal opinion. Huge updates. This is the new updated roadmap. This has just come out, and this includes some very impressive things. I want to take your attention to Solana Layer 2s, guys. Solana doesn't have the capability to run Layer 2s, but via Celestia, they plan to allow that. That is going to be massive. Speaking of the whole, Avalanche Layer 1 rush, this is going to bring a whole new rush, and I think just like the Layer 2s on Ethereum. We can have a look over here. Fee burning, separate sampling from finality. So this is all stuff that people will get around, I believe, as things begin to launch and come out eventually. In wallet light node, allowing anyone to run a Celestia light node in their wallet, earning Celestia tokens themselves, right? And lastly, node sharding, making things ultra fast. These will come out over time as long as the bull run doesn't last anything under like 6 months, which should give Celestia a whole bunch of interesting hype and allowing people to want to buy it. That's at least my interpretation anyway. People always buy coins if there's amazing news that comes out. They FOMO in, that's when we sell. Essentially how it works, unfortunately, okay? And one more massive update as well, 1 gigabyte block space is one of their recent updates as well, which will allow for a whole bunch more stuff and likely mean that a lot more networks and projects want to actually use Celestia for data availability, therefore creating more interest. Now, this coin has a really, really great engagement ratio, one of the highest in the crypto space as well, and that's, of course, another reason why I like it, okay? So I honestly hold Celestia. Am I buying more? Yes, I definitely will buy more on the chance that someone does give me some money, okay? You can tell I'm desperate, all right, as we all are. So the next coin in this case is, of course, Render. Now, Render is obviously AI. It's deep in. It's a very obvious pick in this case, which is why I don't want to spend too much time on it. I've made plenty of Render videos, by the way. Yeah, this coin 8x in that recent October pump, but actually, if we go back as far as September, it did just about over a 10x, okay? So yeah, a lot of room to still grow in this coin. And if we actually have a look to how far it's fallen down from that point in time, well, we're now, again, just like the other ones, just under a 3x. So, people will complain and sort of argue, well, hey, Kyron, what about all the people buying Render down here at like, 40 cents? Not many people were buying back then. And you got to remember, guys, we're also arguing with people here. It's people versus people, okay? They aren't like going to know the exact top, and people who see life-changing money in their accounts are likely to not sell. I know it's like not what you should bank on at all. It doesn't make any sense to bank on that. But in saying it, guys, you shouldn't panic. Every coin has had lows like that. And obviously people have bought it, but not many and not much quantity. Now, a little bit of news from Render itself. There hasn't been much massive news, but there has been some. You can download your files directly from the Render network to cloud storage platforms without the extra steps of downloading it locally and then re-uploading it, okay? So they've kind of allowed this to happen here with Dropbox and Amazon Web Service to Storage 3, or S3, I believe it's the abbreviation for Storage 3 in this case. But guys, I think overall, looking at the Render network, looking at who's behind it, looking at its advisors, and again, I've mentioned this on like 100 videos now, most of you should know all the bullish stuff on Render, as well as the burn mechanism, the burn and mint equilibrium. This coin is set to do very well. Just like some of the others on this list as well, it's got a really good FDV. So again, FDV is a big meme these days with people talking about needs to have a low FDV. Well, Render has a low FDV, plus it's got a burn rate. So perfect for the average investor. Perfect. Now I want to talk about Fara quickly as well. It's a micro cap. Okay, Fara is not just an AI coin. It's not just a deep in coin. It doesn't just do AI agents. This coin literally does everything, if this page decides to eventually load. Thank you very much. They call themselves the AI co-processor. Essentially, hey, bro, you go and process what you need, and we will side process what you don't want to bog you down. We'll do the hard stuff off chain in a secure place. And that's essentially what these guys do. And if we scroll down, we can actually see that some of the use cases for Fara. And it's pretty much not just sort of, subject to these use cases. Essentially anything that a project needs to do off the network to be faster, even more secure, because the way they do this is very secure, or otherwise, is pretty much what Fara can do. You just plug and play these AI agents, even if you want to do that. And now more recently, they've allowed people to leverage, GPUs in this way as well. Now, I've got a Fara video coming up here in the works, guys. I'll explain more about how it all works, and I have touched on it in previous videos, but essentially they are allowing people to run GPUs on these things that are off-chain completely, but completely secured as well. It's super unique. That's kind of the best way I can describe it. Now, if we come back to have a look at Fara's website in about June of 2023, it looked pretty basic. Now, Karen, why are you showing me this basic website here that looks quite nice, but again, simple and I guess less appealing than what it is right now? Well, because again, guys, a big part of why coins pump, take a look at AO's network, is the refresh of the website and the use of more buzzwords like AI, GPU, deep, and all these sort of stuff that's buzzing around does better. It attracts people. People don't buy based on logic. If you're someone who actually buys based on reasoning and does research, understand most people don't. They listen to influencers who arguably don't know too much themselves. Don't come at me. It's true. Okay, it's true. A lot of these people don't. Okay. And they end up just buying the coins because of, I guess, false flags, if you will. Either way, this coin did about a 4.5x in the interim from October to the highs. But I think, again, back here, the website wasn't as fancy. And I think given it time to grow, right, let her cook, I think it's going to do really, really well. In my opinion, again, based on what it is, what it's doing, and some of these upgrades that are coming out. You don't have to believe me. It is a micro cap, but there's a lot of potential in it. And one final project I will mention here is a zero knowledge proof layer 1. I've been a bit scattered with my narrative picking, but this, I'm going to focus more towards the zero knowledge proofs rather than layer 1. And you might already guess it. It's MINA protocol. Yes, I own this coin. By the way, I forgot to mention, I do own Render and I also don't own Fara, but it's one of those 4 picks I'm wanting to pick up here. It's a micro cap, so I'm not throwing 20 grand into it. It'll likely be a lot less than that. Okay. But for a coin like MINA, I own quite a lot. It's a high market cap coin and I've had conviction in this coin for a very long time. Great buy zone right now. It about 5x from the lows, and we know it does well with good news because it pretty much pumped a 2.5x from an exchange listing. An exchange listing, like that's not all that impressive. But these guys have some really ridiculous upgrades coming out. I've mentioned this time and time again. This is the interactive roadmap. Some of these events, like they've recently finished here, ZK Apps on the mainnet, which allows people to build applications on MINA, has recently come out, right? Huge milestones. But when some of these other ones come out, most notably, the one I'm probably most excited for that I think people are going to be blown away by isn't even marked by their definition as important, ZK Oracles, allowing people to pull anything online without even that project or website's permission, that pull that data in and use it on chain. It's an oracle. It's an oracle, completely tamper-proof. It's completely private. It's amazing. And this will change the game, I do believe, and create a whole new use case for MINA. But like I said, the project just launched its fungible token standard. And why this is impressive is because MINA protocol as a layer 1, completely different from any other project. This is why I love it. The meme, the unique aspect, is the very project itself. It's a blockchain that's the size of 22 kilobytes, the size of a single tweet, because whatever came before it, whatever bunch of information on the blockchain has just pretty much had a photo taken of it, and therefore the size of the blockchain is the size of essentially one photo. So if you think about it, if I have 1 million photos laid out on my floor, all right, and I take a single photo of all those photos, you can zoom in and see all the photos. Now, if I then took 1 million photos on top of those 1 million photos, and took a photo of that, and I could zoom in. Have you guys ever seen those artist drawings online where people like zoom in and they kind of have a photo and they zoom into a very specific part of the photo and then a whole new drawing that they've created pops up and they keep scrolling for infinity and these new sort of graphics come up? It's essentially that, but of course for blockchain. So this is a milestone. This coin is honestly very amazing, and they have a lot of integrations. You might have even noticed before on the roadmap here for Celestia, they have MINA ZK apps as part of the in development as well. That's all I got to say. Big stuff for MINA, guys. So all that being said, I hope you have enjoyed. These are the coins I again either own or I'm looking to buy, and I believe will do very well in the upcoming explosion of the bull run. Let's hope it actually happens. I'm just kidding. I'm almost certain it will. Non-financial advice. Take good care. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.